Story begins with Drasa, a sniper hidden deep in the forest. For 10 days, she has remained in position waiting for the right moment. Finally, a plane descends in the distance. The instant a man steps out, she fires and he drops. She retrieves the spent shell casing. Mission complete. Meanwhile, Levi, a former Marine, wakes from a nightmare and drives to the beach, where he spends all the night listening to the waves. At sunrise, a text message summons him to the Marine Corps base. At the base, Levi meets Agent Bartholomew. She gets straight to the point: 113 confirmed kills, no family, no attachments. He's unfit for regular service, but perfect for a secret mission. She offers him a job that needs his skills and solitude. He accepts, not knowing what's at stake. In Lithuania, Drasa visits her father at a cemetery. It's the anniversary of her mother's death. He plays an old tune on his accordion. Their conversation is brief, but the weight is heavy. His cancer is terminal, and he has made his choice. On February 14th, he will take his own life to reunite with his wife. Drasa silently hands him a spent bullet casing from her last kill. He reassures her, sometimes killing one saves many. She tells him she has to disappear for a while. Her superior, Commander Rabinovich, has ordered a briefing in Moscow for a new mission. She won't be reachable for at least a year. Months later, Levi wakes up groggy inside a plane. A soldier orders him to drop his belongings into a box. No explanations. They're entering restricted airspace. He has to jump. Levi lands safely and begins his journey, trekking through the wilderness to cover the remaining distance. The terrain is brutal cliffs, rivers, and dense forests. After hours, he reaches the edge of a massive gorge. Waiting for him is JD, the soldier he's replacing, and like Levi, he has no idea where they are. No country, no map, just the mission. JD leads Levi to the West Tower, a self-sufficient outpost with solar power, a garden, and plenty of wild game. Across the gorge stands the East Tower, but contact is strictly forbidden. Inside, Levi notices an old photo pinned to the wall: Captain Bradford, the original guard of the tower. JD lays out Levi's duties: daily patrols, restocking turrets, and maintaining cloaking devices that keep the gorge invisible to satellites. A radio check-in happens every 30 days, but there's no other contact with the outside world. The land between is a death trap, rigged with mines and barriers. There's also a panic button. No one knows exactly what it does, only that if you hear its alarm, you run, fast. JD warns Levi. This place has existed since the Cold War. Soldiers rotate in and out, but none ever learn the full truth. One thing is certain: they aren't keeping people out. They're keeping something in. They call them hollow men. No one knows what they are, but their screams rise from the abyss. In the 1940s, 3 battalions, 2,400 men, rode in. None came back. JD's time is up. He makes his way to the pickup point, moving carefully through the woods. As the helicopter approaches, he climbs aboard, exhausted, stopped by a soldier who demands a security code. JD gives the correct response, too precise. A pause, then a gunshot. His body is thrown into the mountains below, erased like he was never there. A month passes. Levi settles into his routine, refilling the automated turrets, maintaining the mines, and monitoring the cloaking satellites to ensure everything stays hidden and operational. Every 30 days, he checks in over the radio. Every time, the voice on the other end only asks if everything is fine before cutting off. No questions, no conversation. One day, while tending the garden, Levi hears movement from across the gorge. He grabs his binoculars and spots a woman, Drasa, cutting wood outside the East Tower. She notices him too, but ignores him and continues working. That night, a thunderstorm rages. Levi wakes up from a nightmare, gun in hand. A sudden crack of lightning stuns him, and he stumbles, shattering a glass. The sharp pain in his foot snaps him back to reality. He stepped on the shards. As he cleans his wound, he notices Drasa is still awake, watching him from her tower. The moment their eyes meet, she puts out her light and disappears inside. Another month passes. On her birthday, tired of the silence, Drasa fires a shot into the air to get Levi's attention. When he looks through his binoculars, she holds up a sign asking for his name. Levi writes back, reminding her that talking isn't allowed. She doesn't care. It's her birthday and she'll do what she wants. Levi can't help but laugh. He writes his name and raises a glass to her. Drasa turns on loud music and starts dancing, daring Levi to join. He refuses, claiming he's terrible at it. Instead, he boasts about his sniper skills. To test him, she shoots his water bottle. Levi quickly retaliates, shattering hers with a single shot. Smirking, she places another bottle on her head, challenging him to up the stakes. Before Levi can take the shot, Drasa freezes. She sees something moving in the gorge. Levi follows her gaze and spots creatures crawling up the cliffside, twisted humanoid figures covered in bark and vines. Without thinking, Levi fires. His first shot sends a creature tumbling onto a mine, triggering an explosion that takes out several others, but more are climbing. Drasa grabs her machine gun, and together they rain bullets down, wiping out most of the creatures within minutes. Just as the dust begins to settle, a clawed hand reaches up and grabs the edge of Drasa's balcony. A hollow man pulls itself up, ignoring her gunfire. Levi takes a clean shot, knocking it back into the abyss. But more are coming, this time from both sides. Drasa and Levi unleash everything they have. Explosions rip through the cliffs, turrets engage, and bullets tear through the hollow men as they climb. In the chaos, a piece of shrapnel from an explosion slices into Drasa's shoulder, and she stumbles back, clutching her chest in pain, but she keeps fighting. As the final wave of creatures is blown apart by the mines, silence falls. The attack is over. By morning, Drasa patches up her wound and tells Levi this was the best birthday she's ever had. With the sun rising, Levi gets to work, repairing the damage and replacing the mines. While he works, something strange happens. A drone rises from the abyss and vanishes into the sky. Levi watches, expecting the automated guns to react, but they stay silent. The quiet makes him question what's really going on. Winter comes. December rolls in, bringing snow and loneliness. To cheer things up, Levi decorates a tree with lights and puts up a sign wishing Drasa a Merry Christmas. She smiles. From then on, they find little ways to stay connected, building snowmen with each other's names, playing chess from a distance, and banging on pots and pans like drums. Then comes February 14th. Levi notices Drasa skipping her patrol. He finds her sitting alone, staring at a family photo, tears in her eyes. He asks what's wrong. She tells him it's a hard day. She wishes he could be there with her. That night, unable to sleep, Levi stares at the abyss, thinking. Then an idea strikes. He rushes to the armory, grabs supplies, and builds a makeshift cable crossing using a rocket and rope. He fires the rocket across the gorge, where it lodges into a tree. Flames spark, but Drasa quickly puts them out, secures the rope, then ties it firmly to the tree. Confused, she looks back toward Levi, only to see him holding up a sign, asking her to dinner. Levi cleans up, grabs a bunch of flowers, and hooks himself to the zip line. With a strong push, he launches across, but halfway through, he gets stuck. Using his hands, he pulls himself the rest of the way, arriving out of breath. Drasa smirks, teasing him about how bad he smells. Levi smiles, admitting the crossing was way harder than he thought. She tells him to clean up, promising to bring fresh clothes. But as he showers, a mischievous idea strikes. Instead of handing them over, she hangs them just out of reach, forcing him to step out bare to grab them. That night, they share dinner, talking about their pasts, their jobs, and how the work has worn them down mentally. Later, they dance, the flickering candlelight casting soft shadows around them. The tension that's been building for months finally breaks as they give in to each other. Afterward, they don't sleep. Wrapped in a blanket, they sit by the fire, watching the night sky. At first light, Levi gets ready to head back. He hooks himself to the rope and starts sliding across. Then, an explosion. The mines on his side go off, cutting the rope, and Levi falls toward the abyss. At the last second, he pulls his parachute. Drasa doesn't think twice. She grabs her weapons, a parachute, and jumps into the abyss, plunging through fog before crashing into a river below. Her parachute snags on a rock, so she cuts it loose, only to be slammed against the current, dropping her auto-ascender in the process. She grabs onto a tree root and hauls herself to shore, bruised but alive. Elsewhere, Levi hangs unconscious from a tree branch until it starts to shift, revealing itself as a living creature. As it creeps closer, Levi snaps awake, firing at it while untangling himself. He drops down, landing in what looks like mud, but it starts to move. The ground is a monster's mouth, slowly closing in. Gunshots ring out. Drasa arrives just in time, unloading her weapon to save him. She scrapes off the sticky substance with a knife, then helps him up. They head toward the wall to find the rope, but screeches echo through the gorge. Two hollow men appear, mounted on tree-like horses, and charge. The riders attack with swords. One leaps at Drasa, but she stabs it in the neck and shoots it down. The second rider whips Levi's rifle away, but Levi draws a sidearm and shoots him in seconds. Drasa checks her gear, no auto-ascender. The wall's too steep, so they follow the river, hoping it leads somewhere. Levi examines the fallen rider and spots a faded military uniform, realizing the hollow men are what's left of the cavalry sent in during the 1940s. They move through the forest, passing hundreds of skeletons tangled in roots until they reach an abandoned town, overgrown with twisted plants and cracked by earthquakes. More screeches. They hide in a church filled with poisoned corpses, slumped lifeless in the pews. Suddenly, a giant spider drops from the ceiling. Drassa throws it off and stabs another crawling in. Levi shoots 2 more before they're surrounded. They hold their ground, but Drassa runs out of ammo. Levi covers her as she reloads. Then hollow men burst in. Now they're fighting spiders and soldiers. Drassa bashes one into a table, sending spiders swarming it too. Levi fends off more attackers until Drassa launches a grenade, blasting open the back wall so they can escape. They sprint into the woods, creatures screeching behind them. They hug the wall and find an old steel door, slipping into a long-abandoned facility overtaken by vines. Inside, it's a military lab. Drassa fires up a generator while Levi finds a film reel and plays it. On screen, a scientist from 1946 explains that a coalition of nations secretly built a biochemical weapons program here. During the final years of World War II, they were developing biochemical missiles. 6 days before the recording, an earthquake struck, triggering a chemical leak. The toxin fused with DNA, plants, animals, people, mutating everything. The longer the exposure, the worse the effect, though a few hours often isn't enough to cause mutation. She lifts her shirt, revealing branches growing from her body. The screen cuts to black. The Gorge's isolation, she says, is the only thing that saved the world. The footage is a harsh reminder of how real the danger is. Longer exposure is deadly, and they need to find a way out fast. In another room, Levi finds a modern computer. The lab didn't just collapse in the 40s. Darklake, a private paramilitary firm, kept the research going. He powers up the system and starts digging. The drone they spotted earlier was collecting samples for Darklake's experiments, which are part of a classified project to create super soldiers using mutated DNA. The towers and rotating guards were never about defense. They're part of a cover-up. Levi finds a file explaining the Stray Dog Protocol. If anything escapes, a nuclear bomb will wipe out the entire Gorge. They prepare to leave. Levi turns to Drassa, saying that if this mission ends here, it was still worth it, because he met her. They toss a smoke grenade and move outside. Suddenly, a whip snags Drassa's leg and yanks her into the forest. She crashes into the rocks while trying to cut the rope, but she hits the rough ground and loses her knife, unable to do anything. Then a branch knocks her out cold as the creature pulls her deeper into the forest. Levi follows the rider's trail and eventually ends up at a facility housing a nuclear missile. Inside, she's strung up and tortured by a hollow man who twists the branch in her stomach. She breaks free, grabs a shard of metal, and fights him off, barely holding him back with bones and fire. In her last moment of strength, Levi bursts in and finishes the hollow man with a shot. He inspects the body, recognizing the uniform. It belonged to the first guard from his tower. They grab the sword and keep moving. They find the source of the chemical leak, mutated bodies fused into a giant mass, still breathing. As they cross a bridge, Drassa trips a root and triggers an attack. Levi cuts her loose with the sword while she lobs a grenade behind them. The blast sets the goo on fire and they race up the stairs, flames spreading behind them as burning creatures roar from the mass below. They reach an old garage, fix up a military jeep, and head for the wall. On the way, they pass the nuclear missile, the emergency weapon tied to the Stray Dog Protocol. It's armed and ready. There, they find the broken end of the same rope Levi once used to reach Drassa's tower. He hooks it to the jeep's winch, anchors it tight, and prepares to climb. Levi ties it off while Drassa holds back the hollow men. When her ammo runs dry, they switch. The jeep starts climbing. Midway up, creatures follow. Levi slashes at them with the sword. Drassa finds an axe and they take down one after another. A hollow man jumps on the windshield. Drassa knocks it off. Another grabs Levi, who nearly falls but catches the jeep's frame, stabs the gas tank, then lights a flare. The propane explodes, roasting the creatures but damaging the jeep. Levi lands hard against the wall, injuring his leg. Drassa pulls him up. They're close now, so they cut the rope, dropping the wreck on the hollow men below. They climb the rest of the way and finally reach Drassa's tower. Levi and Drassa treat their wounds, still shaken. They agree to stay apart for 5 days, the window for any signs of exposure. If nothing happens, they'll reunite. Drassa suggests they flee to France, but Levi knows they can't leave the Gorge standing. As long as it exists, more soldiers will die, and the mutated experiments inside could threaten the world outside. They make a choice: destroy the Gorge. Before parting, Drassa fires the grappling gun, crosses back to his tower, and disappears into the forest. The next day, during the routine radio check-in, Levi expects the usual cold voice. But this time it's Agent Bartholomew. She's been alerted. Someone activated a computer in the lab. Levi plays it calm, saying he never left the tower. Bartholomew doesn't buy it. If he didn't do it, then it had to be the soldier across the gorge. She gives him a new order: shoot the other guard and take her out. Levi nods, says he understands. But the moment the line goes dead, it's clear he's not going to follow through. What he doesn't know, there was a camera in the lab. Bartholomew already knows the truth. She calls in a strike team and boards a helicopter, headed for the gorge to take out both Levi and Drasa. The next morning, Levi and Drasa move fast. They plant explosives, set traps, and get the ridge ready. While setting one, Drasa holds up a sign across the gorge, "I love you back." Then they hear it, the low hum of rotors. A chopper cuts across the sky as Levi and Drasa sprint into the forest. It lands at Levi's tower, where soldiers quickly realize both guards are gone. Within seconds, they deploy drones, swarming into the forest to hunt them down. The attack begins. Levi and Drasa fight back, taking down the drones one by one as they push uphill through smoke and debris. Reaching higher ground, they move to their spots. Each takes position. One shot triggers a chain reaction. Their charges light up the mountainside. Turrets burn out, cloaking systems fail, and the gorge is fully exposed. Satellites lock on. Stray dog protocol activates. Bartholomew's chopper rises, banking hard, but it's too late. The bomb hits. The sky goes white. The shockwave hits like a hammer. The helicopter spirals, slams into the cliffside, explodes. Everyone on board, gone. Just as planned, Drasa makes it to the safe zone in time. But Levi, slowed by his injured leg, falls behind, caught in the blast, thrown from the ridge into the river below. Drasa takes shelter in a cave and waits, 6 days in quarantine, hoping Levi will show, but he never does. In the end, she decides to leave. Sometime later in France, Drasa works quietly at a small cafe. No rifle, no orders, just stillness. One quiet afternoon, she looks up and freezes. Levi sits at a table across the room, calm and steady. She walks to him and quietly asks what took him so long. He tells her he was injured. They kiss, slow and quiet, as everything unspoken settles between them. The story ends, somewhere between silence and survival. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos like this. There are amazing stories coming your way. Take care, and see you next time.